Hello, welcome to Malo Talk. This is our first episode, and we have two special guests actually today, and I will let them introduce themselves, and I will start with Mr. Leo.
Hello, everyone. My name is Leo Rosales, and I am an original Malo member.
Yeah.
From back in the day of about around 1971, 1972.
The OG.
Yeah, but before that, I had met the Malo band when they were called the Malibus, when they were playing at the nightlife in San Francisco on Silver and San Bruno Avenue. When we were 16, we used to sneak in there with fake IDs and hide in the kitchen until RC allowed us to come up on the stage to play.
My name is Paul Benavides. I'm the current lead vocalist for Malo. I joined back in 1997, and you were actually on the gig when I joined there. Do you remember? It was in Yuma, Arizona, and it was for the Cinco de Mayo weekend. And one thing I remember, you were rooming with Gabriel Manzo, and I don't know if you remember this, but remember you guys opened the drawer, and there was a gun in there.
Yep, I remember. We did. Gabe and I roomed, and we were in the room, right? So we're opening the drawers to put our clothes away. And I opened the drawer and I said, Gabe, I said, there's a big giant pair of shoes and a gun in here. And there was.
There was like a size 15 or something.
Oh, my God.
Do they even make a size 15 shoe?
And a gun. I swear to God, a gun. And then we called the front desk. We said, hey, there's a gun in the drawer up here. Send somebody to get it. So when Gabe told Tony Menjivar snuck up to the room and started banging on the door, and Gabe and I were like, wow! We were like cats, man. We're like hanging on the curtain. They're going to kill us. Come and get your gun.
So I'm rooming next door to these guys, and I hear this racket screaming and yelling and banging, and I'm like, what kind of band did I get into, man?
So wait, so this is when you first joined the band?
Yeah.
My second day.
Oh, my God.
And by the way, this guy here, Paul Benavides, is one of the baddest singers in town. This dude can just wail. He's got some golden vocal cords. So it was an honor to meet him, honor to play with him.
Likewise.
And when we did a couple of things together within, I'd say, the last couple of years, where I saw you with Dave Morgan over at Armando's. Is that what?
It was at Armando's and Martinez. Dave Morgan and a guitar player for Tower of Power. What's his name? Jeff Tamalier was on the set.
Jeff Tamalier. And we did a rendition of Suavesito, and we just brought the house down. It was just,
nice.
Yeah, it was really good. So Malo's in good hands with this guy right here.
Oh, thank you. Speaking of Suavesito, first time I laid eyes on you was American Bandstand, and you're singing the lead of Suavesito, and I was like, wow, that's cool, man.
Yeah,
but it's not American Bandstand, right?
Well, when I did it on American Bandstand, truth be told, that on American Bandstand, you were always lip syncing. It was never live. The guitars were turned off. Mm-hmm. So I lip synced Suavecito on American Bandstand with Dick Clark. But when we did Rolling on the River with Kenny Rogers, that was live.
Nice.
So that one that you see on YouTube, that has 5 million views, by the way, in case anybody was wondering.
So the Rolling on the River, I thought that was Midnight Special.
No, that was another program. Rolling on the River was Kenny Rogers' program.
Okay.
And it was broadcast out of Toronto, Canada. But we couldn't make it to Toronto, so we recorded it in L.A.
Because it would let you back?
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. So that was... and I didn't know that was even a DVD until a friend of mine told me. He goes, hey, I bought this DVD in L.A. and you're on it. I'm like, what? And I looked on it, and there was like Ike and Tina Turner, Jim Croce, a bunch of other one-hit wonders. And then at the very bottom, there was Malo. And it was a DVD. So when I put it in and I saw myself singing, I was like totally blown away because I hadn't seen it for probably 30 years. So when I saw it, I started getting all emotional and crying when I saw it because I saw myself and I looked just like my daughter. And they weren't even born yet. I was just like 18 years old. Mm-hmm. So when I saw it, it was very, very an emotional experience because I already had kids, had been married and gone through life's changes and stuff. And to see that one was really incredible. And like I said, it's had 5 million views on YouTube.
That's awesome.
In case you're wondering.
So one of the things I noticed, and I think you might have been the pioneer. I never saw percussionists use sticks on the bongo. Did you come up with that?
No, you know who came up with that was Chepito Areas on
Okay.
Black Magic Woman.
All right.
So he's the one that started doing that. And then, and of course, when Santana was out, before I got into Malo, we were imitating Santana. We were playing Waiting and Black Magic Woman and, you know, Soul Sacrifice. So the secret was to try to find a stand to put the bongos on so that they wouldn't fall when we were playing. So we were using tape and rope and everything, to, you know, because they hadn't sold any stands yet. And the only ones that they had were real rickety ones that you put on the timbal. So when I saw him doing it, I thought, that sounds cool. So that's when I began to do it. So maybe I inspired others to do the same. I don't know.
I know you did because I was playing. I'm from the Southwest, grew up in Las Cruces, New Mexico, and I used to play in El Paso, Texas, and Albuquerque. And one of the bands I played in was a group called El Paso, and Raul Montes, the timbalero at the time, he was playing that way, and he goes, "Yeah, I got this from Leo Rosales." I'm like, "Oh, okay, man." And the sound was, you know, you're a pioneer. To me,
Thank you.
you're a pioneer. You've paved the way. You know, you're the real deal on who other people emulate.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. You know, it always blows my mind when, you know, because there was a time where I felt like, you know, I stepped out of the music scene for a minute, and I had the imposter syndrome, which made me feel like, you know, you're not good enough. You know, you've been out of the scene for a long time. But and then as slowly as I came back, in a sober way, people that in like Denver, in Arizona, in LA, you know, just coming up to me like, "Oh man, I remember that solo you did on Pana and the last days at the Fillmore, and you was so great." And it's really touching to me to have people that I don't even know come up and say those kind of things to me, because it lets me know that music does have an impact. You know, it can have an impact on somebody clear across the globe. And then to find out and hear about it is so important, and to know that music is magic and that it has a place in our lives to touch other people.
So, I know you said you were the Malibus before. You knew the Malibus. How exactly did you get into Malo? Did somebody call you? Were you just hanging out?
Yeah, her dad did.
Your daddy?
Arcelio.
My dad.
See, because we used to go, Jorge Bermudez, a friend of mine, Dennis Sanchez, and I. Dennis had a Carmen Gia, and we'd sit in the parking lot and drink slow gin, smoke some weed, and had fake IDs, and we'd sneak into this place, and we were like, you know, just, you know, in puberty, just starting to grow mustaches, and, you know,
So,
what
we
place
looked like
was it?
children.
So wait, how old were you?
I was like 16.
Okay, and how old were you when you joined the band Malo?
I think after all that period of time went by, when I joined Malo, I was probably around 17 and a half.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Because we used to go to the nightlife when they were called the Malibus, and Jorge Bermudez's brother, Ronald, him and his wife used to sell nacatamales in there. So he'd sell nacatamales, and he'd exploit his brother and his friend and throw us up on the stage, and I would play timbal and Jorge would play congas, and Arcelio remembered my playing. So when Warner Brothers came around and they signed a contract with them for a 5-year contract for like $100,000, you know, in five LPs. When Arcelio called me, they already had recorded the album. And he said, "But we want you to come and audition for the band." So I went there and auditioned. And then when he told me that I had the gig, he goes, "But we under one condition." I said, "Oh, okay, what's that?" And he goes, "We need you to sing this one song because my voice is too low for it." And he goes, "It's going to be our hit single on the radio." And I said, "Okay." He goes, "And it's called Suavesito." And I said, "Okay, I'll give it the old college try." So we went on the road, and that was my song. I was able to sing that song for, you know, over a year and a half, 2 years on the road. And Arcelio always just moved back and let me have the limelight for those 5 minutes of singing the tune.
Nice.
And then after that, you know, we were back with Nena and Café and Pana and playing all those tunes. So that was my...
Arcelio's quite the showman, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah, he was great. He was great.
I heard they used to call him
his,
the
fishnet tank tops.
fishnet tank tops. I'm just thinking of something peeking through. Okay.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, second gig I did with you was at the Phoenix Sun Dome. The next night, the night that you guys found the gun, and
The gun.
and Paul Rodriguez came up, and he started capping on all of us. And I don't know if you remember, Arcelio was wearing a purple suit without
Without a shirt.
without a shirt. Do you remember that?
Yeah, he did that a lot. But you know what? He didn't care. That was his trip, man. His turquoise and his hairy chest and his fro.
His fro.
But I'll tell you, the
was a
girls
showman.
loved him.
Oh, yeah.
They just like, oh, Arcelio. They'd be waiting for him. He's signing autographs. Oh, he ate it up. He loved it.
We used to call him Magilla Gorilla because he was so hairy.
Yeah, no, RC was a good band leader. He was a good band leader. He made the show.
Yeah.
He made the show, and he allowed all of us to solo and to play and to. He was proud if you played a great solo. You were proud if you played a great lead guitar solo. He encouraged everybody. He wasn't a hog on the stage. I guess it's all about me. It's all about me.
And I was telling, me and Leo were discussing this earlier. I was telling him, I said, my father, he poured into a lot of people just so they could be the best musician that he knew they could be. And I told him, and even though a lot of times people didn't pour back into him, he didn't care. He just wanted you to be the best musician that you could be, and he was proud of that. He really was. So that it makes sense what you're saying, that he didn't care if you wanted to, he was like, hey, go do your solo. He didn't have like an ego, maybe at times he did a little bit, but
yeah, that's all right.
But, everybody knew how my dad was.
When I was on the Malo Dos album, and then they went on to do 2 more albums, and then the band kind of disbanded, and RC went to New York. And then he put a Malo band together in New York. Mm-hmm. And he brought those guys to San Francisco to perform. Yeah. And then when he decided to stay, and all the musicians, they all went back to New York. Right. And that's where we started the new Malo band, because that's where Arcelio got Joaquin Solórzano on bass. Mm-hmm. He got a guy by the name of Herman playing keyboard.
Herman the German.
Dave Monzo on lead guitar, Tony Menjivar on conga, I'm playing timbal, and we had a slew of different drummers. But it's just like you were saying, he allowed all these musicians to learn how to do the Latin rock thing.
Yep.
And it was...
So when Gabe and Tony came on, how old were those guys? They must have been puppies too, right?
I think, let's see, because when that band started to form, we were already in our late 20s. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Tony was probably around... I was probably around 28, 29, and Tony was probably about 25, 26. And Gabe's older than me, so he might have been, closer to 30.
So I guess we're all graduates of Arcelio Malo Garcia University.
That's it. That's
Malo
it.
Academy.
That's it. RC was awesome.
So when the original Malo band started, how long were you guys together playing for?
Well, I played with them for probably a good solid about 2.5, 3 years. Okay. But they had the Malibus before that. And the Malibus had been playing at the nightlife for years. And that's where they started writing their music, and musicians were coming and going. And that's where Jorge came, and Pablo came, and Abel Zarate came. And Richard Bean was there singing. Mm-hmm. Richard Bean was playing timbal and playing saxophone. Mm-hmm. So, and everybody was, 16, 17 years old. So by the time that they started cutting their teeth and writing music, that's where somebody came, I don't know whether it was Chris Wong or Dave Rubinson, but when they came and they said, these guys got something going here. Right. So when they called somebody from Warner Brothers came out and decided that, these guys are worth investing in. Because when Santana came out, he was, I forget what record label he was on, but Warner Brothers didn't want to be left behind. They didn't want to just be playing the Beach Boys and, the Letterman or whatever, kind of Anglo, rock and roll poppy band. So Warner Brothers wanted to get in the race. So somebody said, there's a group in San Francisco called the Malibus, and they play kind of like Santana music. Mm-hmm. So they came out, liked what they heard, and decided that you know, the name the Malibus sounds kind of like a surfer band.
Right.
So we need to change the name. So this girl named Carol Steele, who's a great percussionist, she was sitting there listening to the conversation about the name change.
Right.
So back in the day, we used the word, you know, like this. If something was good, we'd say, man, that's bad right there.
Right.
Right?
It's like slang.
It was slang for good. So Carol Steele, not even being a Latina, said, why don't you guys use the word bad that we use in English and say it in Spanish? You can say it malo. And all the lights on everybody's heads went off. Boop, 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 and that was the name.
That's
it was
crazy.
like no, you know, interruption. It's like, that's the name, Malo. So that's how, you know, the group started with that name and, you know, moving forward.
That's crazy.
On the way up here, I was listening to Latin Boogaloo. Are you playing congas on that also?
I'm playing congas with Raul in that interlude.
Yes.
Yes, that's him and I.
Well, that is incredible. I just, you know, and it's almost you can hear like scratching too, and you guys get real low.
Yeah, we were doing things that were really progressive back then that wasn't being done by other conga players. And later on, when we saw like Giovanni Hidalgo, he's like, you know, a master, beyond a master. He's a genius on the congas. But we were doing stuff that I saw him doing that Raul and I were just kind of practicing and experimenting with. And we did that at every show. Every show we'd start that song off, and then we'd go into the middle, and Raul and I would take off and just like, you know, just do killer conga solos together.
Oh, that was incredible. That was a crazy 1-2 punch. We sort of got an opportunity to sort of recreate that before Arcelio passed, and you sat in with us at Orange Park.
Right.
And you and Gibby and the other conga at the time,
Marcus.
Marcos Mac Castillo, and you guys were just blowing everybody away with that conga part on Latin Boogaloo.
Yeah, you can't help but be great, even if you don't play when you're standing next to Gibby. he's just a machine. He's so well versed, left hand, right hand. He could play the clave together with on the 2-3 with the one hand and the 3-2 with the other hand. I heard him doing it one time, and I thought I was going to, like, you know, have a short circuit because it was so complicated.
Yeah.
But yeah, and Arcelio was so sweet that day. He said, "Come on and play a song." I said, "Are you here?" He said, "Are you sure?" He says, "Yeah, come on." So, and then when I walked off, he says, "No," he goes, "I want you to stay and play the entire set with us." I was like, "Oh my God, this guy's too much." So that was the last time that I spent with RC, and it was very, very touching, very beautiful. Because I went there to let him know that I was on his side and that I was on his team, you know, and that I supported him and I supported the Malo band, you know, the original him and the guys, and so that's why I went there, to let him know that I loved him, I cared about him, and that I would never do anything to hurt the integrity of the work that he'd done for the last 50 years.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. I really, really do. You know, and we do get a lot of questions on social media, you know, and we get a lot of fans ask, why is there 3 Malo bands?
So, the question is, there's 3 Malo bands floating around. Well, there's only actually one Malo band.
There can be only one.
There's only one.
That's like Highlander.
Yeah, there can only be one band by the name of Malo. And there is. And it's the band that Arcelio Garcia Jr. started along with you know, in the late 60s. And now it's under the tutelage of Mr. Paul Benavides over here.
And not only me, I'm just a singer.
It's a team.
It's a team. You know, Lavette has been a godsend to us. She's like her father. She came in and she's handling business. And you know, he left it to his wife Elsa. So, you know, I made a promise to Arcelio to keep the band going. So all the cats that are playing with us were handpicked by Arcelio and graduates of Malo Arcelio Garcia Academy.
University. You know what? I have a band called Momotombo SF, and it says with former members of Malo and Santana, and we always pay tribute to Arcelio, to Jorge. Like when we're going to play a song that is that it reminds us of them, we always share it with the audience that this is a song from Arcelio Garcia from the first Malo album or from the Malo Dos album, or we bring honor to Dave Morgan, who played bass with Carlos's band, and Bill Ortiz, who played with Carlos's band, and we have never ever even insinuated for a moment that we are a Malo band or affiliated with the Malo organization, because we know that in doing that, it's incorrect, because there's only one Malo band. But what we do is we pay tribute. We don't like to consider ourselves a tribute band, because we were all part of the Malo legacy.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
So we feel empowered and feel privileged that we could play these tunes and play them to the best of our ability. Mm-hmm. And we would never step on Arcelio's legacy in that way.
Right.
Because for 50 years, why would we do something so disrespectful?
Right.
Not only are they great musicians, but they are mighty men of honor.
There you
That's
go.
right.
Thank you.
Mighty men of honor.
Yeah.
So, how did you meet Jorge before you got in the band, or did you meet him as part of Malo?
No, I met him part as Malo when he was playing with Arcelio. I met him there, and I met Pablo there, and Abel Zarate. And I was in awe of them because they had such a killer little band. And we kind of just sit there and watch them. And then we'd go to practice and we would try to emulate what they were doing because they were good. They're playing every night, 4 hours, So they were putting their 10,000 hours in.
There was such a creative writing team also.
Yeah, creative writing team. And so I met Jorge after that. And you know what? He was a force. Him and Pablo were a force. They were so good that I was very, very careful in their approach, instead of being too aggressive, like, oh my God, Jorge Santana, Paulo,
Right.
It was like very respectful, nice to meet you guys. Thanks for allowing me to, come up on the stage and play a couple of tunes. And every time I came to the club, they say, hey, come and play this song with us. And I was like, okay. So,
Nice.
I was like a little stepchild. What can I play?
And he was young too. I didn't know he was that young.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I was the same when I met Leo. I joined while I was 25. I'm like, that's Leo Rosales. Oh man, okay. That's that. And Jorge was playing, was on that set also. So I had, there's Jorge, there's Arcelio, and I had recognized you guys from the albums and from American Bandstand. So it was surreal for me, coming from a small town to check this out. Because I had a dog named Malo when I was 15 years
He
old.
told me the
Gotta love
story.
I love Malo. And just to be able to play with him and play with Leo and Arcelio and Jorge, that was just real surreal for me.
You should have had the dog on a leash on the stage while you're singing. The dog,
like DMX, the rapper DMX. He would come out with his pit bulls.
but well, like I said, I got Malo when I was about 15 years old. And well, I couldn't bring him from Las Cruces, but he lived a long life.
Joining Malo was quite the experience because we were garage bands. Mm-hmm. We were playing at parties and baptisms and
Right.
To schools, at the teen club dance, and some of the musicians were hobbyists, and other ones were real hungry to become great players. Mm-hmm. So when Arcelio told me, he goes, come, I want you to come to audition for the band. And he had to persuade me to do it because I wanted to have the experience of making it on my own merits, right?
Right.
But he said, that's okay. Don't worry about that. We already got a contract. We're going to be going out on the road. We're mixing the album down. He goes, just trust me and come to and audition. So I did. So when I walk into this room, I've been playing with my friends from high school. So we were at a certain level.
Right.
When I walked into this room and I saw the equipment that was in
The
there,
pressure.
the B3, the big amplifiers, the horn section, I was like, oh my God, this is like, am I ready to do this? And when they started playing, the level of music that I was here, and the level that they were at was up here. And it was like, the challenge was like, Arcelio was like, you could do it. Just do it. Just relax. And I had to just believe that I could raise to the occasion.
Right.
And it was, and I did. And that's what was mind-boggling to me is it's like winning the lottery. Mm-hmm. Arcelio invited me. I listened to him. I went there. and I saw the level of musicianship, and I was able to rise to the occasion, and I got the gig. And then from there, I didn't get great overnight, but I got better
Right.
overnight because now I was playing with people that were like looking at me and saying, hey, that wasn't right. You need to change that. I was like, oh, shit.
Oh,
Okay.
I know.
Richard Spremich, I was playing the timbal, and Richard Spremich says to me, he goes, come here, I want to talk to you. This is after they said I had the gig. And I was like, floating. And he goes, the way you solo on the timbal, he goes, you're soloing like you're a drummer. I was like, what? He goes, yeah, you sound like you're playing tom-toms. He goes, that's not what timbales do. He goes, you need to go home and listen to what timbale players sound like that solo on the tims. And I was like, oh, wow. At one
like,
point I was
how
like,
do I take
was
that?
all flying high that I
Yup,
made the band,
that's
and
what I
the
was
other
gonna
one it
say.
was like, you need to go home and work it out. And I was like, okay. So I went home and I put on Tito Puente and I put on Momo Santa Maria, and I said, oh, I see what he's talking about. It's a whole different language, playing drums and playing timbal.
Right.
So when I came back and we were doing like Nena, the intro has a timbal solo in it. The song Pana, that has a solo in it. Café has a little bit of a solo in it.
Right.
So all of a sudden I had all this responsibility of having to play the way he felt that it should be done, the way Coke Escovedo did it on the album.
Right.
And Victor Pandoja did it on the congas. And I was like, damn, can I do it? And I said, well, you know what? Don't turn around and run away. Just head into it. And I managed to learn how to do it. And then I went to Santana and listened to Chapito like for hours, how he soloed in Black Magic Woman and how he soloed in other songs and his phrasing and how he used the bell and how he used the block and how he found tones in the timbal. And I had enough knowledge of drums to be able to pick out the sound and try to find it on the drum. And eventually, Richard Spermich said, now you're playing timbales the way they should be played. I was like, whew.
Oof.
Hijo de su madre. This guy's killing me right here.
So that's really funny you mentioned that, because I was going to ask you, what was your first instrument? Did you start off as a trap set player, as a drummer?
That was my first love in life, was the drums. Yeah, and I always tell the story that when I first learned the drums,
How old were you?
I was just gonna say that.
I was probably about, when my first drum set, I was probably about 6 or 7.
He was like Gibby.
And my drums were not drums. They were garbage cans. They were pie pans. They were books. They were me kicking the back of a bed frame. They were, pie pans were my cymbals.
Right.
Deep books like dictionaries were my tom-toms. And I'd carry my AM radio and set it down, listen to KFRC, KYA, KDIA, KSOL, and just imitate what I was hearing. And I'd imagine myself in like an audience of thousands of people. And I said, now one day that's what I want to do. And then I got my friend Frank Zamacona lived around the corner, and he was a drummer, and he had a band called the Roman Legion. And jodido, I used to bother Frank. We'd go and I'd follow them. I'd carry his drums for him. And I said, Frank, let me play a song. He says, oh, come on, dude. I said, just one song, please. Just one song. Give me the simplest song and let me play it. No. And I was just haranguing him. And he said, take the goddamn sticks, play the one song, and then leave me alone. I said, thank you. I'll carry your drums. I'll set them up. So eventually he goes, hey, you know what? He goes, I'm going to sell my drum set. And I said, oh. He goes, you want to buy them? And I said, I don't have any money. And he goes, all right, well, do something. He said, I want $100 for them. So I got a paper route. And I did a paper route, and I'd get up at 5 a.m, delivering the paper. The bags were too heavy. The newspaper in the bag, they'd hang down to my knees because I'm only like 5'2", and I look like Toulouse-Lautrec walking up the
Did
street.
they even have paper routes anymore?
No.
That's what I was gonna say. I'm like, wait a minute.
So I collected $100, and I gave Frank the money, and he gave me his drum set. And that was like the beginning of like my journey playing drums. And I would set the drums up in this little mezzanine area that I had in my house on Naples Street. And I'd sit there and practice it. I'd get up like 7 a.m, and I'd get dressed and get ready, and I'd sit behind the drums and I'd wait for the bus, and I would just play. And I put on Frank Sinatra, I put on Blood, Sweat, and Tears, and that's how I cut my teeth. And then eventually, around that time, somebody said, hey, let's go to the Fillmore. I said, why? What's going on over there? They said, look, for $5, we can buy a tab of hash, We can go into the Fillmore
$5
for $5 and listen to three bands 2 times. And I was like, Blood, Sweat, and Tears, Cold Blood, Sly and the Family Stone, Paul Butterfield Blues Band, Curtis Mayfield, Joe Cocker, Buddy Rich, Cold Blood, Quicksilver, 10 Years After. And it was like magic just listening to these guys. Like, wow, man, this is what I want to do.
So you got to hear all those bits for $5?
For $5. Not in one
And
day,
half.
of
I
course.
was gonna say, what the heck?
But every weekend, they had a lineup,
Right.
Janis Joplin, Big Brother and the Holding Company, It's a Beautiful Day, Blue Cheer, Cream, Jimi Hendrix, The Doors, Janis Joplin. I mean, it was just like, it was a time of magic.
Right.
That music was erupting, and Bill Graham was like the ringmaster. He was like, Winterland, Fillmore West, Avalon Ballroom, the Straight Theater, and the Grateful Dead, and all these bands are coming out of here. So Jorge says, there's this band called Santana. He says, I hear that they're an insane sounding band. It's different than anything we've ever heard. So I said, wow, okay, well, let's go. So I had to sneak there because my mother would kill me if she knew that I went to the Fillmore because of the hippies were smoking weed and taking acid and this and that.
Right.
And I'm only like 14 and a half years old. So he takes me there, and I see the stage set up, and I see timbales, and I see congas. I'd never seen that before. And I was like, wow, this looks like it's going to be pretty cool. So then when Carlos walks out with the fellas, and they start in with like my all-time favorite song, Waiting, I was like, I had like a spiritual experience. Really, I felt like this is my calling right here. This is what I'm supposed to do, is play this kind of music. And that opened a library of music that I wasn't exposed to. Mongo Santa Maria, Armando Peraza, Tito Puente, Charlie Palmieri, Eddie Palmieri, Hector Lavoe, all of these
Fania
amazing Fania All-Stars.
Yep, Fania All-Stars.
And then we got together and we said, we need to put a band together like this. So we did, and we started imitating Carlos, and we'd go to the Fillmore every weekend.
Yep.
And
it was huge back then. It was huge.
Oh, it was like, it was heaven on earth, the Fillmore West. It was really a place.
Sometimes you miss those days,
Oh, I totally miss
even
them.
the music, like even I miss it. Like I'm like, man, we don't hear music like that anymore, like the live salsa bands and like the Fania All-Stars and Hector Lavoe and like, you're like, man, where did it go? It just kind of disappeared with everybody, but it's like, I miss those days.
Yeah.
They just have good memories.
Your dad and I and the rest of the band, we played at Carnegie Hall. We invited Tito Puente to come and play, or to come in, to be our guest.
Right.
So we had a seat for him, front row seat, in the middle of the aisle, in front of the stage. So we played, and the whole night the chair was empty. Tito Puente never showed up.
Oh, man.
So because he couldn't make it,
Right.
he sent a message with one of his people and said, I'm really sorry that I couldn't come to your show, but I'm performing tonight at my club, the Corso nightclub in Manhattan. She says, but I want to make it up to you guys. I want the entire band to come to the club. So
In New York?
In New York. And Bill Graham with us because he loved the Latin rock music. So we get in our rent-a-cars and we drive to the club. They let the whole band in, and he brought the entire Malo band on the stage to play along him. So there's
That's
your dad,
insane.
and there's me, there's Richard Kermode, there's George Santana, and there's Pablo and Dave, not Dave Rubinson, but Bill Graham. He's out there dancing with girls doing the salsa because we're playing salsa with Tito, right?
Right.
And then he hands me his sticks and he tells me to take a solo, and I'm like, oh my God, that's like Buddy Rich. That's like Buddy Rich giving me drumsticks, right?
Right.
And once again, I had to step up to the plate, and I had to bring it, So I soloed, and he was looking at me, and it was in 6/8 on top of it, the time key, the time. And then I was done. He said, "That was good." He said, "You played good." And I said, "Would you sign my sticks?" He said, "Sure."
Like, did I play good or did I play great?
Right, exactly.
What
But
if you would have said you played bad?
I would have said, "You mean like Malo bad?" Yeah, so there's
awesome.
great memories, playing in Winterland with Black Oak, Arkansas, and Black Sabbath, opening up for them, and then 2 limousines waiting for us outside, and jump in the limousines, and they drive us to the airport, and we get in a Lear jet and fly to L.A. and play at the Palladium.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
we were flying high.
That's awesome.
I tell people, I said, we were true Latino rock stars. I mean,
yeah, if you think about it, I mean, it's true.
Yeah, we landed in North Carolina, and there was 2 stretch limousines on the runway waiting for us. Because the record company, being that we were rocking and rolling with Suavesito and the album had good sales,
Right.
they were putting out the red carpet for us everywhere we went. Everybody else walked to the terminals, and the rock band got to get in the limos. Yeah, so
I'm sure your heads were probably like this big.
Or be that I had to have the doors widened open so I can get through them.
So you probably had many a great show. Is there one show or one experience or something that sticks out in your head where that was like, wow, I've made it. This is cool. I'm in heaven. When was the aha moment where you just like, wow, this is it?
I think Carnegie Hall was one of the, if I would say top 5, that would be like the number 1. Because you got to remember, Carnegie Hall has had nothing but the most brilliant, genius musicians, songwriters, instrument, pianists, vocal singers grace the stage of Carnegie Hall. Mm-hmm. So to be part of a group that was invited to sit on the stage of Carnegie Hall was just mind-boggling. I remember calling my dad saying, because my dad was a radio broadcaster, and he was well aware of great music all over the world. So when I told him, I said, I am playing at Carnegie Hall tonight, he was just speechless.
What's your father's name?
His name was Leopoldo Rosales, and he went by Polo Rosales.
Nice.
Yeah, and he was a radio broadcaster in San Francisco in the late 50s. And my Tio Edgar, his brother, was a conga player and singer for Cal Tjader back in the late 50s.
That's crazy.
So a lot of talent flowing through the genes.
So do you have any funny stories that have passed the statute of limitations that you can probably talk about now that you couldn't?
Well,
should I close my ears?
yeah, right.
Remember, it was probably, I think statute of limitations on most things is probably like 30, 40 years.
Well, we used to prank each other. Like we did it to Arcelio and we did it to Jorge, and Jorge was the kingpin of doing practical jokes.
I could see that.
Like taking the pins out of the door.
Oh my!
So when you went to put your key, the door just. Or short sheet the bed.
What's a short sheet the bed?
It's when you take the sheet from the back end of where your feet are and you fold it over so that when you get into bed you can't stretch your legs because there's a sheet in the middle. Or you pour a bucket of ice on the floor and then say, hey, RC, I can't get in, open the door. So when he gets up, he's standing on the cold ice.
Oh my goodness.
So those are the kind of things that we did.
That's innocent. I think you're being PG rated on purpose.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah.
And my wife and kid are watching.
Yeah. I did fall in love a lot of times, with different people, but that was just part of the landscape,
It's part of touring.
Part of touring is here. That's right.
That's awesome.
That's right.
And you are just a wealth of knowledge, and we thank you for just sharing all this knowledge with us. And have you ever considered writing a book?
If I could find a great ghostwriter, I would definitely share my story. I would love to. I think that I've had a colorful life. I've gone through a lot of hardships. I had substance abuse for like 20 years. I was really in deep trouble. And what started out as, recreation and smoking a little weed and drinking a little bit, kind of slowly but surely manifested into, smoking more weed, drinking more, and then snorting cocaine and doing all these things. And before I knew it, it got a hold of me. And then that became part of my thinking and part of my behavior. So for 20 years, I was pretty much in trouble, and I tried recovery many times throughout those 20 years of, what brought me to want to get into recovery was the guilt and shame of the hangover from the previous night, and then having to go to work and then repeating that cycle over and over and over again. And I was out of music for the longest time because of those kind of things that were happening in my life. But because through the grace of God, whatever higher power people want to consider, I managed to find recovery 20 years ago. So I've been clean and sober now for 20 beautiful, fantastic, miraculous years.
And speaking of that, me and Paul commend you. Let me tell you, because we see those 5Ks that
Yes.
you run, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this man. I don't want to say your age, but
That's all right. No, tell him.
I mean,
I'm
you're
70,
you're
damn it.
70, but you are like in the best shape. I mean, I told him, man, he makes me want to go run those 5Ks. I'm like,
Well,
jeez.
it's a gift of recovery. Funny story. I had been doing so much blow that I was just like feeling like just horrible about myself. So I started to white knuckle and I said, okay, I ain't going to do it anymore. I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm not going to hang out with these people. I'm going to just like go to work. And then I saw that the Beta Breakers was going to be coming up. So I said, you know what? I'm going to challenge myself. That'll keep me distracted and I won't, I'll stop doing all this nonsense. And so the Beta Breakers came and I ran it. And I was like, wow, this is great. I really enjoyed this, 7.5 miles. And then, so while I was running, I made a conscious reservation that I was going to go visit the dope dealer to celebrate my outcome of running a race. I figured I deserve it.
Right.
So as I always tell people, I went to the party and I never left. I stayed at the party for 20 years. And that was part of my story. So when I got clean and sober, I remembered how much the running meant to me and how I felt after I ran. So I went back to college. I became a returned student at Skyline College in San Bruno, and I joined the track team. And at this point, I was 51 years old.
I was going to say, how old were you when you did that?
Yeah, I was 51, and then not enough students joined the class, so he said, you know what, we're going to have to cancel the track. He goes, but come to my weight training class. He goes, and you can go to the track and run all you want. Just sign in, do some weightlifting, and then go to the track. And if that's what you want to do, I'll give you a grade. Start conditioning. So from that led me to running with this company in San Francisco called DSE, which is the Dolphin South End Running Club. So Virginia and I went there. And we were like, we were all embarrassed and we were wearing sweats. We were all like, overheated and dehydrated. We were the last ones that crossed the finish line. But we said, oh, this was cool, man. Nice community of people, get up early on Sunday morning and go and run a little bit of a race.
Are they all like your age or it's different age groups?
All different age groups from, teenagers all the way up to seniors, But when I started running with them 20 years ago, I was, like 50, right?
Right.
So that led to me. I told Virginia, I said, then I did the Pride Run, and that was a 10K. That was 6 miles. So and then after that, I said, you know what? I think I want to try the marathon. She goes, the marathon? She goes, you've only done 6 miles. But addict behavior and addict thinking said, I can do 26 miles, So I signed up for the San Francisco Marathon, and with only 10, 12 weeks of training, and I trained myself. And I managed to pull it off. I ran the race and I ran it in 4 hours and 25 minutes. And that was like one of over 50 marathons that I've run in 20 years, along with hundreds of half marathons and dozens of 5Ks and 10Ks and ultra marathons. And all of these are gifts of recovery. And in the process of these gifts manifesting, through the help of my wife and her cousin, Tony Vella, they invited me to come and play music, but I was so scared because of what I had gone through with all the years of drugging that I just felt I didn't have it anymore. I felt like, the people are just being nice. But he said, no. He said, you need to come and you need to not be afraid and you need to play. And I was like, dude, I can't, man. I just like, ugh. He goes, we're not doing drugs. Nobody's drinking. Nobody's smoking weed. No one's doing blow. We're just playing music.
Right.
Just come and play. We'll play some of the Malo songs that you played. So my wife and I are sitting in the balcony. I'm just like, oh, Jesus. And then he calls me down. I'm like, oh, man, I was a nervous wreck. But I went there. I played, shed tears, and felt redemption. I felt, okay, I overcame the fear. And then slowly but surely started playing again. And then, Tony Menjivar, may he rest in peace, he was, him and I would play together. And then I got involved in other bands here and there. And I started living a sober life. And all the things that I had, kind of not destroyed, but hurt You know, there was healing. I managed to clean up my own backyard and took my own inventory
Right.
and managed to find healing and recovery. And that was 20 years ago. And then,
awesome.
and like now playing with Momotombo SF, you know, with Gabe Monzo and Tony Stead, Bill Ortiz, Tom Bertetta, Ross Wilson, Dave Morgan, David George, Adrian Arias,
John Marin.
and John Marin,
Oh,
surrounded by just really nice people. And we're playing music together and really enjoying it. And the fans, you know, they just come in tears and say, boy, you brought me back to when I went to prom. You brought me back when I got my first kiss. You
There's
brought
so
me
many
back.
memories.
Yeah, and you know, you transported us into the yesterday, and I was like, really? They said, yeah, man, your music is really powerful.
Yep. And
So-
it's funny because the parents would listen to those songs,
Right.
and then the kids would hear it.
The kids
So
would hear
now
it.
the parents are older, and now the kids are adults, and they're still listening to the
Yeah.
music that their parents. So it's going down generations.
Exactly.
You know, so that music never gets old.
No.
It never gets old.
The Santana music from the first, second, third, fourth album, and the Malo albums, the first, second, third, fourth, those are all classics.
Right.
It's just like what War did in the beginning, what Azteca did in the beginning, what Tierra did, El Chicano. Just that first music of inspiration is so powerful,
Yep.
you know. So
It's nice.
it's a great legacy that.
You're playing tomorrow in Carnaval, right?
Yes, we'll be at 17th and Harrison at 3 p.m.
How does that feel to just go back to your stomping grounds after all these
Oh,
years?
it's
7 years, and just-
so exciting because, like I was telling somebody today, that's our neighborhood. My parents walked those streets when I was just 2 and 3 years old.
What street you grew up on?
Well, I grew up on Walter, which is over like right where the trolley goes underneath Twin Peaks. It was Walter Street, which is above Walter, Noe, and then Castro Street. So, but from there we moved to outside of the Excelsior district. So that's where we grew up. But when we were little, and my parents came from Nicaragua, you know, they'd walk the Mission, 24th Street, Mi Rancho, all the places that, you know, the cultural food was. My father was a radio broadcaster at Mi Rancho, and him and another fella had 2 turntables and 2 amplifiers and microphones, and they did, you know, a Sunday morning show. So we'd be having, you know, breakfast at my abuelita's house, and my dad would be on the radio, and it just like became second nature.
Wow.
So to be at Carnaval, which is a tradition now in San Francisco, and to be invited to play at it, to see not only friends that you went to school with, but their children and associates, and to just feel like I'm part of something big here. You know, I'm one of the architects of this, not of necessarily of Carnaval, but of the music, of the legacy,
Definitely.
of the legacy of the music, and to feel that we can inspire young men, young women to hone their craft and to create new music and to take the mantle and the torch of Latin rock music and create their own is, you know, then we'll have done our job.
Again, you are a pioneer on what you do. A lot of people emulate you, and you have a great story. You know, there might be some people out there that are struggling with some addictions. And they're like, man, this guy can do it. You know, even if, I know it sounds cliche, but even if one person hears that and can get out of that, man, that's a gift.
Exactly.
That's
And
a
I'm
gift.
proud. I'm proud of my story. I'm proud of my history. I'm not ashamed of what I went through. You know, if that was a tool to use to help others, and then the journey was worth it.
So you went through it.
Right.
You went through
Exactly.
it.
And came out of it because
Yeah.
not everybody comes out of it.
Exactly.
That is so
You know,
true.
we've lost, not that, you know, I don't know of anybody's, you know, personal stories, but we've lost your dad.
Right.
We've lost Jorge. We've lost Tony Menjivar. We've lost Richard
Raul.
Kermode. We've lost David Brown from Santana, Dougie Roche from Santana. Just all of these great musicians that should still be here.
Yeah. I mean,
You know-
that is true. That is true. I mean, even when I met with David Rubinson, he had told me it was an honor for him to be there with me. And I'm thinking, no, it's an honor to be here with you. And he said no. He said, because I never thought I'd see the day that I'd be sitting here with Arcelio's daughter. He said, I thought I would be the one.
Yeah, I
to
feel
go
the same
first.
way seeing
And
you.
I was like, wow. I know, because when he hugged me, he goes, I feel like I'm hugging Arcelio.
Because I saw your dad's face in your eyes, and it's like,
Paul says the same
man.
thing.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Yep. It's kind of crazy, but it kind of hit home when he said that, because I was like, wow, like you don't think about stuff like that till you get older,
Right.
And it's kind of crazy. And like you said, they should all still be here.
Well, it reminds me of the humanity of the guy, of Arcelio, when I see his daughter, that you are an offspring of his. And it's just like, wow, man, that is just too amazing. And we were crazy, wild, and had so much fun. And then at the end of the story, here's the real gift, and that's you.
Oh, thank you.
You are you ask Arcelio, what's the greatest thing that's happened to you? And he'll say, my daughter. My daughter. That's my gold medal,
Yeah.
So wait a minute. You guys, have you guys met in person before today?
Nope.
No.
Are you serious?
First time.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I thought you guys were old friends.
No, we talked on the phone a lot and
Yeah,
emailed
we talked on the
a lot.
phone a lot, and emailed a lot and stuff like that. So when we saw each other today, we just like or hugging.
Yeah.
because he's like my uncle, literally
Right.
like my uncle. That's what he says. You have a whole bunch of uncles over here, like him and Gabe.
Yeah, it's like hugging Arcelio.
Yeah, he was like, he hugs me, gives me a kiss, and then he looks at me. Let me look at your eyes. Oh yeah.
It's
So
your dad.
it was like 3 hugs.
Yeah.
Wait till you see her feet.
Yes,
I've never
I got
seen your
cursed
feet.
with the Garcia feet.
I've never seen your feet, but
But you've heard stories.
no.
Elsa.
Arcelio's wife says Marcelo got the same feet.
We do. We have the same feet, the same toes. And my dad would always he would wake us. And me and Paul were actually talking about this the other day. It was funny because my dad would come in the room and he'll wiggle your big toe. Be like, hey, and then he would grab my toe and he'll be like, you got my feet, but with nail polish. And I'm like,
No,
what?
you got my feet.
Yes.
Nail polish.
He was
He
funny.
did the accent. Yes, my dad was funny.
He used
man,
to
let me
imitate
tell you.
James Brown. He was great.
Well, that was his favorite. That was his favorite. He was the
There's-
Puerto Rican
yeah.
James Brown.
They say they call him the James Brown of the Mission District. Is what Richie used to tell me.
Yeah. You didn't mess with RC. RC was a tough character.
I heard.
Oh, I know.
I heard he took care of all you guys in the Mission District. If something went down, Arcelio took care of it.
Oh, yeah.
He was the enforcer.
Oh,
He
yeah.
was the enforcer.
I mean, everybody has said
He should
that.
have been a boxer. He would have been a heavyweight.
Well, he was a boxer at one point.
Kid
and then,
Malo.
I saw him box a police officer in Canada.
Oh, no.
Something happened, and the cop. It was they were wearing those like weird, helmet type of hats, and Arcelio just KO'd this guy. Just wham down.
And wouldn't even flinch. Wouldn't even think twice about it. I mean, my dad was hardcore, man.
Yeah, I didn't.
To the end.
I didn't want to get on his bad side for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, he had these hands like they were like bear claws
Yes. They were like fat. Like
of Vienna sausages.
no, or he would have like this. I told Paul, I said, he has this like death stare. Like almost like you can't, there's nothing back there. And I said, and when he gave you that stare, you were like, oh,
Oh, something's up.
something's up. Exactly. And I tell him, I go, it's funny because I said, even though, he's not here physically, I told him, I told Paul, you probably think I'm crazy, but I literally feel my dad. Like, I don't even, and he knows like the craziest things have happened. And when something is wrong, and Paul says I'm a bruja. He calls me a bruja. But I'm like, I don't know, something's not right. I have a gut feeling. And I won't sleep for nights. And then boom, right? It comes out. And I said, I told you that's my dad. And I'll hear no. Like, no, and he knows it. And I'm like, you probably think I'm crazy. And Paul's like, no, I don't think you're crazy. I mean, I think he is with you. And I'm like, I don't know how to explain what I feel,
That's why you got to fight hard for his legacy to remain.
And she is.
Yeah.
Talking about, Arcelio was very tenacious. He's very tenacious. And I see that in Lavette. She's very tenacious.
Good. You're all the goodness of your dad.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
I know. Paul has seen the good, bad, and the ugly. At this point,
Yeah.
he's seen me when I'm happy, when I'm mad, when I'm crying, when I'm, he's seen all phases of me.
Well, I can imagine going through life fighting for the legacy of the Malo band. I'm sure there's been so many high roads and low roads that you've had to traverse.
Yep.
and
It's a lot.
keep your head on straight so that you can continue to make the right decisions.
Yes, that is correct. And
Yeah.
and there is times that, I say it all the time, I have to disconnect from being the daughter, because if not, I'm going to make decisions with emotions.
Right.
So I can't do that.
Yeah, you want to be responsive instead of reactive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So when things, and even I'll get a phone call from from our attorney, and he will tell me, he'll say, okay, so we need to make decisions, and so we need your emotions to the side.
Right.
So basically disconnect, because now you're a business owner kind of thing.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's how it should be. But it's not easy. There's times that the daughter can't disconnect.
Yeah.
And I'm emotional, and I'm like, I can't do this today. I just can't do it. And
Well-
I'll come back, and when I'm good,
Yeah.
kind of thing. But it's not easy. People think it's easy, but it's not. It's one thing taking over like you said, like your father's legacy, but it's hard when your father's not here.
Right.
It's really hard.
And the feelings that you're getting are his spirit trying to communicate something to you through symbols, through signs.
Oh yeah, dreams. I get
dreams.
dreams all, and it's kind of crazy. But every time I'm like really stressed,
Yeah.
he comes to me.
Arcelio loved Malo. He
Yep.
ate, drank, slept,
Breathed.
dreamed.
Yep.
I mean, he was really faithful to that band. Like I used to tell people, love him, hate him, whatever you think about him. That guy Malo was his life.
Yep. It was.
And to try to take that from him is unacceptable. This band belonged to RC, and he helped so many people.
That's
I
right.
think there's like a list of over 50 musicians that have come through the Malo door.
Yep.
They come in, played a little bit, and then exited. And then he gave somebody else another shot. They came in, they played for a bit, and they exited. But sick, happy, sad, he got on that stage and he delivered 100%.
Yep. That's correct.
Yeah, RC was the man. He was great. And I'm a firm believer in the Malo legacy and what he left in Paul's hands. And I believe that truth will prevail and that Malo will move forward and it'll prepare another generation for true Latin rock legend music.
That's
You know,
right.
that means a lot. It means a lot, being one of the OGs of Latin rock and one of the original members. It means a lot. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
This is great, and we'd love to have you come and sit in one of these days, man. That would just be so awesome. Recreate what we did, maybe just do some of those solos like.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
We'll put him
Yeah.
we'll put you next to Gibby.
That's right. That guy makes me work.
Oh,
That guy makes me work.
when
We have to bring him on when we do Gibby's podcast. We'll have to bring Leo on.
If you have Gibby here, you better be ready to laugh like non-stop.
We'll have to do a lot of editing
He
too.
is so insane. I'm telling you, that guy
I know
is
he's
funny.
fun. I know he's fun.
I'll tell you what, when you and Gibby and Marcos were doing that conga solo, somebody was filming, but you could see me. I moved to the side and I became a fanboy. I was on the stage. I'm getting chills thinking about it. Yeah, my nipples are getting hard.
Wait a minute, so are mine. Jesus.
Be careful, Paul. I'm gonna get poked in the eye. Leo.
If I had one of those Arcelio fishnet shirts,
Right? I used to say, he looks like...
with the fringes. Don't forget the
I
fringes.
said, look at RC. Looks like Engelbert Humperdinck.
he got mad at me with the fringes because he goes, "How you like my fringe?" I said, "You look like a car wash."
Listen,
But
I got a story.
let me tell you, but he knew how to rock it. You got to
yeah.
give it.
Oh,
you
yeah,
got to
yeah,
give.
yeah, for sure.
He
With
he
his-
walked up there and he didn't give a damn what anybody
And
thought
people
about
loved
him,
it.
and they loved it.
Listen,
Exactly.
I got a story. We're in Chicago playing, and your dad is like, RC, why do you wear so much jade, so much jewelry? But he loved
but
it.
he loved
the
jewelry.
big ring.
Yep.
And he was shaking people's hands. And somebody grabbed him and pulled him into the audience. And Arcelio just disappeared in this group of people. And it's almost like, and then when they were done stripping him of all his jewelry, they threw him
What?
back up on the stage.
Are
and
you
his jewelry's
serious?
gone. And Arcelio's got, come on, man, give me back my jade, give me back my jewelry. People were throwing it back on the stage.
Oh, but at least they were throwing it back. I thought it was
Oh,
gone.
man, because he was so friendly that somebody grabbed a hold of his hand and then they pulled him in. he-
And you know my dad is little.
well, they're lucky he didn't beat their ass. I'll tell you that.
He was little, but he could fight.
Oh, yeah, people flying in the air, legs and arms.
Who was it that it's funny because I hear so many stories about my dad and they're hilarious. And who was it that told us that somebody had somebody was driving in a car and I don't know if they tapped him and he went around the car and he yanked the guy out of the driver's seat because he hit him. Was it you?
Yeah, but I heard that story like second, third hand. I
I mean,
wasn't
we
there.
we probably don't know what the
I
original
think,
story
I
is.
think Gabriel or Ramiro or one of the old cats was telling me about Arcelio got hit by a car, gets knocked down, opens the door and starts beating the crap out of the guy.
Oh, he hit his body.
Yeah.
Oh, not a car that he was in, but
No, the car hit Arcelio as he was crossing the street. Arcelio falls down, opens the car door, and just knocks the guy out. And so I like I said, I heard that story secondhand. So I didn't witness it.
You know the story changes as it goes.
right. That's what makes it better. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Started embellishing on it, He's like the Hulk. He ripped the door right off of the hinges, grabbed the guy, and just stuffed his head down his throat.
Oh my God! I'm telling you, they're
Yeah.
hilarious. I'm telling you. So tell us what's new at Momotombo. You have anything new coming up?
Well,
what's going on?
we have about 11 to 12 shows. We're selling merchandise. We got shirts and we got hats. And this is a hat right here. You can see our
Very
little
nice.
Phil Retamosa.
Let the camera see it. Let the camera see it.
Yeah, see that? That's right there.
Oh, Phil Retamoso. He did that?
Retamosa. Yeah, he designed it.
Yeah, he did Tortilla Soup's logo also.
Yeah, he's
Let
great.
me see.
He's a graphic designer.
Very nice.
Yeah,
I like
he
that.
works for Meta.
Oh,
like-
okay.
He's
Wow.
a bigwig for them. He's
Wow.
he's in the process of designing the new virtual glasses that they make, like
Yeah.
a year ahead of time.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So, and actually, he'll be at Carnaval tomorrow. He has a beautiful Mercury
Oh yeah.
that he's chopped up, and it's called the Mercer.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole thing is just an incredible looking vehicle. And when you open the trunk, it's got a whole sound system.
Oh,
He
my
plugs right in there?
goodness.
He plugs his guitar, has his microphone, and sings oldies.
What?
He's a bad dude. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
So
crazy.
he'll be there tomorrow on 19th and Harrison.
He's got that beautiful purple guitar too.
Right.
So they have like something. I've never been to it. So they have something going on each block.
Yep.
What is it, like a big block party?
Oh,
like a-
huge.
Oh,
Like
my
there's several
goodness.
block
It's
party
from
stages.
21st all the way to 17th. And
That's
all the
crazy.
little side streets
Uh-huh.
have, food, DJs, dancing.
And then they have like stages.
And
like,
then
for
they
the
have two
bands
main
and stuff.
stages.
That's
So,
crazy.
yeah,
I mean,
so-
I know my dad played there, but I've never been.
Yeah, I played
But
there with him.
That's crazy. And
Yeah.
everybody tells me, "Oh, it's big," and I'm like, "Wow, really?"
Yeah, and that was so cool. I mean, Malo playing at the street fair. So years before that, we were playing at Winterland. We were playing at the Fillmore, and so we'll be there tomorrow at 3:00 on 17th and Harrison
Is
Yeah.
it with Momotombo?
with Momotombo.
So when your dad first got sick, we were slated to play Carnaval. Tierra and Malo were going to play, and Dad couldn't make it because he was sick. I couldn't make it out, but you actually sat in with Tierra that day,
Right.
and did Suavesito with him.
Right. Robert Hernandez says, "Look at Arcelio can't make it." He goes, "And I don't want." And I think there was another band that calls themselves Malo wanted to play, and Roberto wasn't having it. So he says, "I want you to represent Arcelio and come and sing."
Nice.
I said, "Me by myself?" And he goes, yeah, you sing with Tierra. And I said, "Okay." But before I went on stage, Steve said, "Don't say anything about what's going on with the names." And I
Yeah,
said,
yeah.
"Oh, don't worry about it. Mum's the word." So it was an honor. I mean, to represent Malo
Right. Right.
by myself.
Well, you are one of the OGs, one of the last OGs left of.
Yeah.
Are you one of the last OGs?
Well, Abel Zarati's still with
Right,
us.
Abel.
Pablo.
And Pablo.
And Pablo Tellez.
Wow. Well,
No, Richard Spremich, the drummer, he's still with us. And
And isn't
Oh, do you
some
know
of the
what-
trumpet players?
Tom Poole,
That's what I was gonna say.
he's still here. Hadley Calaman. Oh, no, not Hadley. I'm sorry. Bill. What's Bill's last name? Oh.
Building.
Bill Ding. That's just, oh my goodness.
Paul, man.
I'm embarrassed. I forgot Bill's last name. But,
Well, we know it's not Ding.
right. Bill Ding. I love it. And then Tom Harrell. Tom Harrell was one of the premier writers for the Malo Dos album. And he's now a big jazz aficionado, and he's out of New York.
Right.
Yeah.
So did you ever meet my mom when she was in Malo? Because she was, or
I
was that
might
the
have.
New York band? Now I'm thinking
That might have been the New York band.
because it was the Malo 5 album.
I know that he had, I forget her name, but he had a girl in the band for a minute.
Well, my mom was Sandra, but he had Shantae. So you might have met Shantae, but those were his backup vocalists at the time. So that's why I was
Where
wondering.
was Sandra from?
New York. Well, from San Francisco.
Oh, okay.
But they moved when he got sick. That's
Yeah.
when we moved to New York, and I was still little, and we lived in Long Island. And then that's when he started the Malo over there in New York.
Right,
and
right.
And then they got separated, and then he ended up coming back to California.
Okay.
Yeah, and then
Yeah,
my
there
mom
was a
stayed in New
period of
York.
time that I lost contact with them for many, many years until Arcelio came back here and he wanted to put together a Malo band here with
Right.
fresh faces.
So you were in the first 4 albums?
I was on the first album. I was with them when they were mixing it down.
Okay.
And I did a little guido, a little maracas here and there because Dave Rubinson, he goes, hey, I want you to be, get at least a little flavor of you in the first album. He goes, so I'll cue up a couple of them and just play guido and just play maracas. Mm-hmm. So I played the guido and I'd start I'd start soloing on it. And he'd say, cut. He'd just say, listen, just simple. 1, 2, 3, just like that. Don't change it, okay?
That
okay.
sounds like him too.
All right, so
because he's
all right,
black
here we
or
go.
white. He's
All right.
not in between.
All right, hit it. And I'd go, cut. He goes, what did I tell you?
Up, down.
Up, down, not up, down, sideways. Keep it simple.
And you're probably thinking, but
I'm thinking,
what noise
what-
is that making?
I thought I was keeping it simple, and that's how I learned. Stop embellishing all the time. Just
Right.
keep it simple. And then I did the little maraca. So, and then after that, we did the Malo Dos album, and that's after we had toured for over a year and a half, and we were on top of our game, and we were writing songs like Momotombo, Latin Boogaloo, Peace. Oh no, Peace is on the first album, but like I was telling you before, that the level of music started to grow because, we were working together. So we were a team.
Right.
So we came together and we were able to create quickly and create intelligently. And the music that we were coming up with was really strong. So I had and George Santana's father played violin on the second album.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, on the second side, I forget the name of the tune, but Jose Santana plays a beautiful violin solo in the beginning.
That's crazy.
Is that
have
the
you
one that-
guys seen his Netflix? It's like a documentary called Carlos.
Yes.
It's really good. Have you seen it?
I liked it. A lot of
I
people were
did
sketchy
too.
on it, but I thought it
No,
was
I
great.
thought it was really
I haven't seen
good.
it
You haven't seen it? It's really good. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I actually watched it on the plane.
Yeah, no, it's good.
It was good.
So that song, that the violin, is that can't think of the name right, but I can hear Arcelio's voice. Since the dawn of time. Yeah.
Before the sun is something
Before the
came,
waters gave.
Yeah, there you go.
Is that the violin he's
Yeah,
playing?
dee, 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 in the very beginning of the tune. Yeah.
That is so crazy.
Yeah.
I can't. I have to sing the whole part before. I'm for real. I knew it would get there. I'm for real. You have to sing the whole chorus before you get to the name of the song. I'm for real.
Yeah. Great song.
crazy.
So and then I left after the second album, and then they went on. But in the second album, I had the privilege and honor of playing with Francisco Aguavella, and world-renowned conguero, just up there with Mongo and Armando Peraza and all the greats. So that he was a teacher because we roomed together.
Right.
So I was playing bongo, right? And then when we get to the room, he said, Leo, he said, ¿Quién te enseñó a tocar lo bongo? He said, who taught you how to play that? And I thought, oh, he's ready to give me a compliment. He goes, well, you're playing it all wrong. He goes, bongos are not congas. Bongos are a whole different animal. And this is the way you play it. And then he showed me the martillo, how you're supposed to do it. And he goes, so when you play bongo, that's how you do it. And I was like, okay.
I just got schooled.
I just got schooled. You've been told.
You just got schooled.
Ain't nothing better. Nobody better to school you than.
I
him.
mean, yeah, them professionals, for sure.
One of the biggest memories I have, we were in New York, and Francisco said, hey, you want to go to the Cheetah nightclub? And I said, cool, let's go. So it was him and I. We walked down and go to the Cheetah, and who's there? Eddie Palmieri, Charlie Palmieri, Mongo Santamaria, all the heavyweight salsa players, percussionists are at the Cheetah. So Francisco and I are sitting up in the balcony, and they see him. So they say, come on, Francisco, I'm going to play a song and blah, blah, blah. And I'm tugging on his coat saying, take me with you. I'm in Malo. I play timbales and I play congas and I sing and Carnegie Hall and American Bandstand. And he goes, you just sit here and be quiet.
He didn't care about your resume.
You didn't care about my resume. I said, come on, Francisco, let me. He goes, listen to me. He says, you're not ready. I said, I'm ready. I can go do it. He goes, no. He goes, you can't do it. You won't be able to do it. Just sit here and enjoy it. And another time will come around where you can do it. And I was like, I was all indignant and resentful. And like, yeah, well, go ahead, you play. And I sit up there, turn away like a big baby, right? And then these guys start playing. And they just break into this insane Afro-Cuban galactic Star Wars rhythm that I couldn't even figure out where the one started and the one ended. And I was just like, oh my God. And when he came back upstairs, I got on my knees. I said, thank you. Thank you for not letting me humiliate myself and go down there with all these kingpins, all these masters of instrument. And I would have been this just little,
Banging on his chest.
Cheetahs. You know what they say? Cheetahs never prosper.
Cheetahs never. Oh, joke time. I love it. That's 2 in a row. Bill, Dean,
Oh yeah. Oh,
Cheetah.
he's getting warmed up.
Yeah, I hate traffic over here, so I was late. But now I'm getting warmed up.
You're good. You're good. Yeah. So that was
Oh, me so
a
corny.
great. Yeah, me so corny. I love it.
He's like,
good.
I love it.
This was great. This is our first show, and what better guest to have than Leo for our first show?
Oh,
One of the
thank you.
OGs.
Yes.
I'm honored to be here.
You popped our cherry, man.
Wow.
Oh.
I feel like I need to go to confession.
Oh God.
I'm not like that no more. I'm special.
Well, this has been great.
No, it's been awesome. I love
Yeah.
it. We could stay here for hours talking.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Oh, if we had Tony Menjivar sitting in here and Gabe sitting in here and the stories, we could sit here all night long laughing
imagine.
and crying about all the shenanigans that we were up to when we were out there on the road.
Good memories.
Yeah, well, the big shoes and the gun is what I always remember.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or the car that your dad had, that blue bus.
Oh, God.
Everybody talks
That was-
about the blue
you heard
bus?
the midnight special? That was the carbon monoxide special.
Huele Pacuso.
Ay, ay, ay. Ese
know Pacusos?
carro, coño.
You know Pacuso?
That car
What
was...
is Pacuso?
Pataculo y sobaco.
Dude, that is. I'm sorry, but that we would go up the grapevine and we'd be like, "Pa, pa, 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 pa." Pa, 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 pa. And we were like, and Malo's written on the side of the van, so everybody.
So you couldn't
sees-
even play it off.
Oh man, we were like the homeless Malo band.
Were you with Malo when it was right before I got in the band, and I guess you guys were playing it at some Latin show, and the bus breaks down and they had to push it?
Yeah.
Were you at that?
Oh,
Is that the one that
Dude.
you told me you went somewhere else? You didn't push it?
No, that was another time. I was coming back and I saw him the grapevine, and my son's mom was there. She goes, "Isn't that the ball man?" Like,
Put the seat back.
yeah. You couldn't see anybody because there was no seats. Everybody was lying down.
no. We had living room furniture
Right.
in there.
Didn't you tell me you had a TV in there?
Yeah, and a
Like the
VCR.
big ones?
Yeah, it was a
That
VCR.
car, it was like the Flintstones. You needed your feet to stop it. Your feet, there was like a hole right underneath the driver's seat, and there was wind blowing in when you were driving. That thing would struggle up the grapevine, and everybody would be like, "Oh my God, let's make
Please,
it, let's make it, let's make it."
please.
Speaking of a jokester, another guy, God rest his soul, was Sebastian Ponti.
Oh yeah,
He was a jokester. He stole the van one night, and I was a new guy. I don't know where he took it, but he left it somewhere else and told him that I took it. So I'm like, I didn't take the van. So they thought that I took the van. I think there was a little ding on it or something, and I got blamed for it, but truth came out. But he was, we were in Denver, and I remember we were hanging out. I was 25, 26. We were hanging at some after party, and Arcelio went upstairs, and he fell asleep. And Ponte said, "Come here." And he tied his shoes together, his shoelaces. So then later on, Pops gets up. Ponte, he fell down, and he knew it was Ponte. But Yeah, Pawnee was a lot of fun also. I have pictures of us that first gig. Ponte, you, Marcos Reyes was playing bongo also, and you're also, I guess you and I are probably the only guys left. Oh, and David George, Ramiro Gabe. Yeah, we were all in the Latin Legends album in 1997 at
Yep.
the Hop.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
Wait, is that the album I just bought that I found it in the Amoeba store? I
Yeah.
actually found that album. I was in LA. When was it? Cinco de Mayo?
Yeah, you can actually hear Arcelio yell right what's gee, brain fart again. Techno Rumba. He's all Leo, prrr, and this guy just takes off taking that awesome
my
solo. But
God.
yeah, your dad, yeah, Leo, and that's Leo.
I
on.
found that album. I was shocked. I took a picture of it and I told Paul, look what I found. You ever been to the Amoeba store in LA?
Yes, not in L.A., but up here there was one.
Yeah,
for a minute.
the one in LA, they get Malo albums there. And so every time I go in there, I go and I start buying them.
We were up at a book, not a bookstore, but a record store here off of Green Street, off of Broadway, and there was a beautiful Malo Dos album in there.
Oh man,
Yeah.
look at that. That's
get
crazy.
I was
it?
walking down the street and there was a big giant poster of the first Malo band.
What?
The very first picture that we took together.
Wait, which one is it?
It's the one that we took over here in San Francisco before we went out on tour. It was Luis Casca's in it. And
Is it like because
We're-
is Jorge
we're
sitting?
yeah.
And you're sitting next to him,
Yeah.
and then my dad's in the back with the afro with the black leather
Yeah.
jacket.
It was a
I have
big-
that. Yes, my dad gave me that.
Yeah.
And it's actually in my office, and I have it in a big black, like really nice frame.
Yeah.
So yeah, I look at you every day. When I
There you go. Look at that face.
No, I feel like you guys are staring at me like you better do this right.
Yeah. So
that's pretty cool.
So I told the guy, I said, that's me right there. And he
Yep.
goes, what? I goes, yeah, I was
'cause he's
playing in that
young.
band. I said, how much? I said, oh, I'd love to have that poster. He goes, okay, that'll be $20.
What? After you told him that
Yeah,
was you?
Yeah, he still charged me for it. So I paid him. What the hell?
No discount. So
Well,
another thing
that's
I remember that first gig we was when Paul Rodriguez came up and he just made fun of each and every one. I think he called Jorge Pink Panther Vato because it was really hot. It was Cinco de Mayo in Phoenix. You know how it gets. So Jorge is just wearing one of those white beater shirts they call them, and he's wearing these pink pleated pants. Arcelio's wearing a his suit without a shirt, and I remember our Paul Rodriguez tells you, "Oiga," and he was calling you Frenchie
oh, because of my hat?
because you did very, "Oiga, Frenchie." I just remember that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we saw Paul Rodriguez and Cheech Marin at the Grammy Awards. It was the Latin Grammys.
Mhm.
And that was pretty cool. Malo was the pit band.
What year was this?
Oh my goodness, I don't even remember, but it was a long time ago. It's over. Let's see, maybe 20 years ago, 25 years ago. It was before the Latin Grammys existed. It was called the Bravo Awards.
That's the one where they had to push the bus. I think.
Yep,
Oh.
that's the
It was
one.
right before I got in.
Yeah, Steve, what's his name?
Rocha?
Not Steve. The singer. What's his name?
Steve Salas from Tierra.
No, he's a famous singer.
Steve Perry.
No, I think I got
Stevie
the
Wonder.
From a
wrong name.
Latin band or
Yeah, it was
American?
a Latin singer. Ricky Martin.
Oh,
How you get Ricky Martin out of Steve?
You pay him enough. No, so he
We're
was
like
there.
trying
he
to
was,
go through
He
it.
was a teenager. Jimmy Smith, Selma Hayek, all the Latinos were there, and Malo was the pit band. So we played like 30 seconds of a song. You know, and now a word from our sponsor. Na na do 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 do. Yo quiero die. And now we are here so and so. So that was pretty cool.
That's
Wow.
crazy.
We got to be in the pit band.
So you came back to Malo in what year after you took your hiatus?
Oh, about around 85.
So you
And I was with them on and off. But I had to maintain my job because I had a family, I had children, you know, I had child support, you know. So I did a 7 to 3, Monday through Friday for 30 years as a stationary engineer at a hotel. And I just thought of music every single day of my life as I worked. But that's and then I hooked up with RC, and I was playing with them here and there, but I couldn't commit into doing all, like driving all the
touring
way
and
to
stuff.
Arizona
Yeah.
or driving to Denver or going, because I had to keep my job. I couldn't put it in jeopardy.
Okay, because I remember you were there for several shows, and then all of a sudden you weren't.
Yeah, then Gibby got in. Louis Romero was there. Robert Quintana
Roberto
was
Quintana,
there.
yeah.
So there was a little revolving door of players. So
Yeah, and each one of you brought your own magic.
yeah.
You know.
And Arcelio was looking for longevity, and I think that's why Gibby's been there the longest.
Because
Because
Gibby's been there, 30 years? She's been in the band for 30 years?
Well, Gibby took a hiatus when he went to go play with Journey.
With Journey. Mhm.
And he also played, he was touring with the Red Rocker, the guy from Van Halen, Sammy Hagar. He was playing with Sammy Hagar for a
Wow.
while. Yeah,
good for him.
yeah.
So
And then we stole him back.
there you go.
He's not going anywhere.
Right.
That's awesome.
Well,
Oh, it's been great, Leo.
Yes.
Man, it's just awesome reconnecting with you. Every time we connect, it's always a lot of fun. Geez,
Yeah.
I think, and also I don't know if you, I was subbing with a Chicago group. Leo was there, and there was another guy named Leo Vigil.
the drummer.
Yeah, so we took a picture, and not too many people know this, but my name is also Leo.
Oh, that's right.
It's my first name. So we took a picture of the three Leos. I
three Ls.
have that. Yeah. Yeah, Leo Paul is my name.
Leo Paul.
It's not Leopoldo, but Leo Paul.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Interesting, huh?
Right
Tocayo.
on.
That's my father's name also. Have you met my father?
No, I don't
Yeah.
think so.
So once again,
goodness.
this is our first Malo Talk. We had Leo
There you go.
Rosales. We'd like to thank you. Tune in. We're going to have lots more. This is our first one. We're going to have more guests, but man, what better way to kick this off than to have Leo Rosales,
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Muchas gracias.
el OG.
Órale.
Yes, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Malo Official. We have maloofficial.com, our Facebook, and we will be dropping an episode every third Sunday of the month. So,
Thank
guys
you for
stay
having
tuned.
me.
Thank you, thank you.
Not Right. Nothing but love to you guys.
Yes,
Love you too,
same
man.
To you.
And
Thank you.
And nothing but good thoughts to Arcelio's Malo.
That's right.
And
Thank
it's
you.
in good hands with you, Paul.
I'm just singing it. I'm carrying on the legacy. The current cats that we got now are all carrying the legacy that of Leo, of Pablo, of Arcelio, of Jorge. We're just carrying on the legacy. I was a fan first, and to be doing this, and he basically left me the keys to the car, which is just a great honor. And I'm going to do it right. We're going to do it right, the
Right
right
on.
way, the way he wanted it to do, and keep it going.
Well, I look forward to sitting in with you guys one of these days.
That would be awesome.
Right on.
That would
That'd
be awesome.
Great.
All right.
Good.
And everyone said, Amen.
Amen.